When you sit and really take time to really think about how amazing, beautiful, and profound, how massive the universe is, you really have to understand how magical and how much of a miracle this experience is, this experience of life, this experience of actually being a part of this grand amazement that is happening at this very moment. And we often separate ourselves from the magic. We separate ourselves from the miracle. We can study a lot about space and planets and solar systems and even the energy of the cosmos and the source, right? This infinite intelligence that is responsible for all of this that is happening. And even if you're not somebody who is one to think about this intelligence as God, you still have to acknowledge that there is an intelligence, there is an order by which everything is living in, right? By which everything is existing in, because that is the groundworks of physics and mathematics and just making sense of all that is happening. This is why we study things like astrology and the planets and the solar systems and everything else about science, is to encapsulate and understand the intelligence of it all. And what I want you to understand is that you are not separate from that. You are part of that. And though some people may look at that as God, as what I like to call grand consciousness, there is an intelligence. Ultimately, there is a consciousness that exists there. There is a way of thinking that exists there. And you are a part of that. You are a part of that. You are an extension of that. You are that. And what is important for you to understand is that this art form of life, this art form of creation, because all of that is creation. When you think about the universe and understand that the universe is constantly in expansion, it is constantly developing, growing, molding, shaping. And that is because that is its nature, to continue to expand, to continue to grow, to continue to experience. And you are no different than that. You are, in fact, the same thing. You are an extension of that expansion. You are an individualized expression of that consciousness. And what I want you to understand is that when it comes to manifestation, what we can call more in line with what I'm talking about is this expansion of experience. When we think about manifestation as an expansion of experience of our consciousness, which wants to gather information, gather insight, gather knowledge, right? Ultimately, that is who you are. You are inherently the lineage, the legacy of what we can call God, which is grand consciousness, which is the infinite source that is everything. Now, what I want you to understand is, though everything is an extension of this grand consciousness, but you are different because you actually have consciousness. You see, a rock isn't conscious, right? A plant is not conscious. Though a plant may be alive, right? It can be stimulated, it grows, but it isn't conscious. Animals have a level of consciousness, but not quite like yours. You see, animals, they exist and they are aware, but they do not know that they are aware. They are not aware of their existence. Whereas you, on the other hand, you are aware of your existence. You have the ability to be the observer of yourself, to be the observer of your ego. And that observer is your consciousness. That is the purest essence of who you are. That is the God within you. And your ego is essentially the anchor that keeps you grounded into this reality, into this world. But understand and realize that you are here because it is your legacy, it is your heritage, it is your inheritance to continue along the process of expansion, of growing, of manifesting, of materializing, of continuing on with the miracle of life. And so as you continue to get into this spiritual journey, acknowledge that manifestation is the aspect of who you are that needs to be experienced in order for you to acknowledge the truth. When you go and you look at many different spiritual and even religious texts and documentations and teachings, they often talk about how closely related we are, how closely related you are to the source, to God, to the cosmos. And what I need you to understand is that this is because you are ultimately God living life through you. And it is important for you to not diminish what all of these spiritual and religious texts are saying. When you think about and you read all of these things again, from the point of view of, is this telling me that I am essentially a lineage or a part of or connected to this tree of godliness or divinity? And once you do that and you start to read through these texts and through these books, you begin to ultimately read something completely different than you ever read before. Because before you were reading it from the point of view that had you disconnected from the truth, that had you distant from the reality of what consciousness and grand consciousness is, what God is, and what you are. But now, as you have this seed implanted in you of understanding that, hey, yes, I am connected with divinity. I am connected with the grand consciousness and God. Therefore, I am that. And it's not coming from a place of ego. It's really just acknowledging your consciousness. You see, because consciousness and ego are two different things. So many times when people have this conversation about the God within and acknowledging that you are God, they are relating it to ego. And that is not correct. What we're talking about is consciousness, the part of you that is pure, that is God. And ego has its purpose, it has its nature, and that is to keep you grounded in this realm and continuing and playing this game of life. But ultimately, the core of who you are is consciousness, is God. So it's important for you as you acknowledge this and go along this journey, you realize that your consciousness, God, the universe, right? Grand intelligence, grand consciousness, infinite source, all of the many infinite names that exist for the same thing, that you are a expansion of that thing. You are an extension of that thing. And by which you are living your life to continue along the expansion, to continue growing, to continue the experiences and having those experiences and creating those experiences. This is what manifestation is about. Manifestation is about you continuing on with the legacy of creation. You are a creator that came from the creator. So continue to create, because that is why you are here. That is the God within you living out its true nature. Thank you so much. Continue to join me on this journey. Peace and abundance always.